later on. Okay, all right, cool. So the theory is that some farmers realized that when they stored it, and then maybe during rainfall when they were kept in certain bowls, and it fermented, it gave a very distinct taste. Now, it will interest you to know that virtually every culture has a form of an alcoholic beverage as a mainstay. For the Nordic individuals, for those, that's when I say Nordic, I'm talking about those from the Scandinavian region. So that's from Denmark, Norway, Iceland, Sweden. Yes, those guys who believe in Thor, Odin, Norse mythology. Mead was the thing, and mead is synonymous to beer. After another 1 or 2,000 years, ale was the brew to be sought after. In Europe, ale became very, very, very popular. In fact, there are similarities between ale, mead, and other forms of alcoholic beverages across the world. In Africa, we had, palm wine, ogogoro, uspere, we had all of them. The same thing in South Africa and Southern Africa, where, the popular song by Yvonne Shaka Shaka, help people get to know what they call their own local drink. Nkomboti. Yes, remember that? Wemba Shambeni. Yeah, cool, great. Humanity has loved to drink for forever. Even in the Christian Bible. In fact, there are very few religions that, take exception to alcohol consumption, and Islam being one of them. Some Hindus also, abstain from alcoholic beverages. Some other religious sects will also abstain from alcoholic beverages. But the question has always been, why? Why do we take and why do we not take? So that's another conversation for another day. But our conversation this morning is stemming from a very interesting report about, the price increase for beer, right? Beer, alcoholic beverages, particularly beer. Now, Nigerian Brewers unveils latest rates for beers, and this was put up in our news group, and I got online to quickly get the report. It was in the newspaper, by the way, just in case you're wondering. It was in the Punch newspaper of last week. That's 13th of February, a day before Valentine's. And the Nigerian Brewers PLC had issued a new price review notification to all its customers in the West Zone. According to the letter dated Monday 12th, the price review effective from Monday 19th, which was yesterday, it was deemed necessary to offset the impact of increased production expenses. Everybody can understand that. Everybody in Nigeria right now is feeling inflation getting to 30% in the next few days or weeks, if you believe the reports. So here we go. Some brands are now retailing for 950 naira, some 850. The cheapest here in front of me is 750 naira per bottle. All right. With some going as high as 1,300 naira for bottles. Now, I am not a great consumer of alcohol, so I don't know if it's the big bottle, small bottle. I did not quite get that information. But the fact here is, across board, there's going to be an increase in the price of beer. Now is the big uhana. Now is the elephant in the room. How does inflation impact on alcohol consumption? Now, I read several studies, several journals yesterday, and it turns out that for beers, for lower end alcoholic beverages, so people who consume beer are usually, in the lower cadre of society, stratification, you know what I mean? All right. So you have more people who have maybe fewer nairas and kobbos or dollars and cents in their pockets who would buy beer. All right. And so, by and large, whenever there's a big economic shift, right, you probably find that some people would, reduce the amount of beer that they buy. However, for spirits, right, for high-end distillers, people who make beer are the brewers, right? But the distillers, people who make the alcoholic beverages that we term as spirits. Spirits usually contain anywhere from 17 to maybe 40 or 60% alcoholic content. Those individuals have over the years, particularly in the West and in the American market, streamlined their products for, in quote, the upper echelon of society. So that's when people buy some big bottles in the bars, they say Dorime. People are shouting because those things cost an arm and a leg in some cases, upwards of $200 to as much as $6,000. No joke, for a cask of some whiskeys. This is no joke. $6,000. So when there's an inflation, the price doesn't quite move because these guys are already tailored, right, to a certain niche. So they won't increase the price immediately or reduce it very quickly or whatnot. But we're Nigeria. The amount of beer has risen to 1,000 on average. This was the same amount people would pay if they were to go to bars, and some high-end hotels. Now it's everybody, or those of you who drink, 1,000 naira per bottle. Ladies and gentlemen, my question to you is, do you think this rise is going to affect the consumption of alcohol? We're already in the period where people are already kicking against, the ban on sachet, alcoholic beverages. Now it's increasing. The general one is increasing.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
Hello, Port Harcourt, with Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
So 017-923-0003, 0817923-0007, 0817923-0003, 0817923-0007. This particular rise, do you think is going to impact the consumption of alcohol? Some would say maybe it's for the better. Some would say, look, maybe you shouldn't be spending so much money, buying 6 or 7 bottles. Those of you who were in Uniports, remember there are some places, where you see some students, as early as 10 o'clock in the morning, they sat down and they are putting 2 or 3 crates around them. I wonder where those boys are right now. 2 or 3 crates around there at 11 o'clock in the morning. They were drinking. Yes, feeling good. Now it's way more expensive. Is it going to come down? Let's find out from you. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. WhatsApp is 08090306416, 08090306416. Already some interesting messages. This one says, no matter the price, some people must collect 1 crate a day. Obina with that comment. 92.3, hello Port Harcourt, good morning to you, please.
Yeah, sure. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Zion.
Welcome, Zion.
When you have incompetent people in sensitive office, these are the things you will see. Put this on record. Go and check the IGR of Nigeria from January to today. Or if they quote, which is the monthly report. Check it. Then check the one from today to April. 2 months, and give you 2 months, and you will see the difference. These are the products that grow our internal revenues. IGR, internal gross revenues, internal gross domestic approach. These are the things that survive the economy.
Alcohol.
Government, oh my goodness me, you know how much VAT consumption pays to the federal government on daily basis?
Fine, but now it's now on average 1,000 naira a bottle.
It will affect. That's why I gave you what to go and check the IGR, make comparison. It will affect it because consumption will reduce. Not everybody will have the 1,000 naira to afford the way they afford the 500. Now look at it. They ban the sachet. If you notice now, the price of the sachet has gone up because what we have in the market now are smuggled products. Oh God, these people just want to destroy this country. It's unfortunate.
All right, so Zion feels that the price is going to affect consumption, as not everybody is going to be able to afford, new the new price of the bottles. All right, this one here says, "Enchi, good morning. I think this is a blessing in disguise. We have so many people who are hooked on alcohol, and if the price, is going to shake some pockets, maybe it will let them go and do something else worthwhile with their money. Who knows? We'll probably have less accidents on the roads." All right, thank you very much. That's from Kelvin. Yes, that's a possibility that if less people are consuming alcohol, you're probably going to have less cases of DUIs, driving under the influence, which is already a big problem. Don't forget, we did that report where we found out that a lot of taxi drivers in the States, were consuming alcohol as early as 5, 6 a.m., and they gave some interesting, I have to say, frivolous reasons why they needed to drink before they get into their vehicles. Frightening, very frightening. So maybe this will help. But Zion makes a very good point, because these products, these alcoholic beverages, often come with a very substantial, a VAT on them. They also are a great indicator of your social well-being. When I mean social, I'm talking about tourism and also the entertainment industry, because more often than not, when you have parties, weddings, funeral, you will have alcoholic beverages served. Wines would be served. So if they become more expensive and people don't either celebrate or buy, what are the options? Potako returns.
The show continues after this break on Nigeria Info.
Conversation of the morning is about alcohol consumption. And now, over the years, we've had different groups all over the world, different pressure groups all over the world, who have suggested that the same level of strictness, that has been met on the tobacco industry should be met on alcoholic beverages and the alcohol industry, because some will tell you, some reports will tell you that it is as addictive as tobacco. It likely causes probably similar or if not the same type of level of damage, and also it's not just a serious case of the bender. Would often resort to alcoholic beverages to calm their nerves, and it could lead and very often leads to other social devices. Take, for example, DUIs, that's driving under the influences, or under the influence, I beg your pardon. We've had individuals who, when they were drunk, some of you probably have stories to tell, whose fathers, whose uncles would be drunk, come home and then beat wives, beat husbands, or even beat children. And then there are cases where people who have operated machine whilst under the influence have caused damages. Even doctors have been indicted in other countries, for, in quotes, operating whilst under the influence of alcohol. So it goes on and on and on and on. But largely, you cannot extricate human society from alcohol consumption because it is the celebratory, liquid. It is the elixir for happiness. Sadly, or is it, would I say, or simultaneously, is also the elixir for joy, for depression, for excitement, for celebration, and indeed for mourning. Almost you get to find, and I remember when we were in school, you get to find somebody who say, look, every reason is a good reason to have a bottle of beer. Because, beer is happy. Beer doesn't discriminate. When you're happy or sad, it will still make you feel good. Interesting. But we do know that its consumption in excess is detrimental to your health. But for the sake of celebratory purposes, wines, soft, soft beers, some Nigerians were shocked when they went abroad, particularly to the US, and found out that some of the beers they were drinking only had 2 or 3% alcohol as compared to what they were drinking here, which was much more potent. You have a right to celebrate as you deem fit, so long as everybody around you is safe. But what happens when the cost of celebration increases? Do you A, look for alternatives, or B, you don't celebrate with alcoholic beverages at all? Maybe you be like Jude and some of the 6-year-old children he used to play with when he was 6 as well. We drink our mineral and dance all around. Is that what's going to happen?
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
Hello, Port Harcourt, with Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, so phone lines 017-923-0007, 017-923-0003. We also have the smart number 070-0923-0923. There's a call screener, so when you get to hear a voice that's not mine, all right, you just drop your name and your location, and then we'll get to have you patched into the studio. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. At Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH is where you will find us on Facebook and on X. All right, WhatsApp and Telegram 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. All right, please don't call that last number. All right, it's tricky for the reception of messages. All right, Thiago Mane says people go drink kai kai now. That's talking about the local, brew, fermented brew. Maybe that's what will happen. But like I said, historically, those spirits, those are not beers. Those spirits, and they're usually not made in large commercial quantities. Yes, you can get to the village and you probably have somebody who will make 1 or 2 bottles for you and bring across, blah 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 blah, right? But you can't compare it to the breweries, or whether they're here in Port Harcourt. I think there is a brewery here in Port Harcourt. It's at Oginiba area, right? Transmadi, where you can get from there to Elekaya. So you can't compare that to, your locally made brew, whatever you call it, kai kai or gogoro, whatever it is. All right. And the longevity, whilst is established, come on, the preservation is another different thing. People can buy their bottles and keep in their fridges for weeks, for days, for years. I don't know how you do that with kakai. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying, it's a bit more convenient with the beverages that we made. All right, let's read messages now before we get back to the phone line. Lorenzo on WhatsApp says, no matter the hike, people will still buy beer. It depends on the level of one's income, but it will definitely affect consumption because many will reduce the number of bottles that they take. Even the ones that usually buy for friends will also reduce the hands. Our government should do something fast before things get out of hand. People are really suffering. All right, John, while Google says, Jude, certainly the price increase of beer will reduce the consumption of beer. This is because the hierarchy of needs of man, beer is not there. What we have are food, shelter, and clothing. But now, John, let me share something very interesting with you, right? Now, during COVID, there was an increase in alcoholic consumption. People weren't making money, but there was increase. Also, during the Great Depression in the US in the 20s and 30s, there was also significant marked increase in the consumption of alcoholic beverages. 92.3, hello, Port Harcourt. Welcome, please.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Jethro. I'm calling from LA.
Welcome, please.
Hello?
Yes, go. We can hear you. Go on. Speak directly into your phone, please.
Hello?
We can hear you. Go on, Gabriel. Oh dear. Sorry about that. Drop in your place. You can call back. All right. More history coming in the way. Just pay attention. All right. This is from an anonymous messenger. It says it will just expose what's important to some people. People always find money for what's really important to them. For instance, no woman I know, including myself, has downgraded her beauty care. We might not all be going to spas as often as we used to, but the products stay the same, especially those of us in the public eye, because of how important it is to us. We'd rather save or redistribute finances till we can get what we want. It is human nature. Alcohol consumption is the same. If someone felt it was a sin, so they were already struggling with their conscience, so they didn't really like the taste, price hike might make them stop. But if they were addicted, they would choose it even over food. And that's where I was going to. People have chosen certain things over what you would deem proper. The same reason why you find addicts who would prioritize, their shots, whatever it is, over Medicare. They have an injury. Rather than treat it, they still go and look for the substance that they abuse to make them feel good. Good news is a room Okoro. Good news. Good morning to you, please.
Hello, good morning. My name is Good News.
Welcome, Good News. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, according to what you guys said about the alcohol part. Yeah.
Okay, go on.
The problem is like everything is very, very critical, including the cost of everything, where food, including the competition. So before I was paying 150 in my house, but now it's up to 250,000. I don't know how to do. The work isn't working well. I don't know.
Well, we know that everything's expensive, but let me ask you: are you a regular consumer of alcohol?
I do consume, but not that much.
Okay, so
I don't have time drinking much beer.
Okay,
so that is not one of my business.
So it's not. So for you now that the price has increased, you might not even buy at all.
And people will drink kai.
You sure? Okay, all right. So alternatives. All right. Moving on. Men must share steady. It's just the quantity that we reduce. I beg, just play this song, Young, Wild and Free by Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg to buttress this alcoholic conversation. Right now, from Woji. I don't know if I'm obliged, but let's see what happens. All right, let's get back to Facebook and X at Nigeria Info PH. at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us. You want to call in? We encourage you to do so with the following numbers: 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. All right, at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH. All right, that's where you find us on Facebook and on X. Ibiso speaking to us from Audley Road. Ibiso, good morning. 1,000 naira for a bottle. Are you willing to spend like a big boy?
Whether you like whether you don't like you think you say anybody want to go drink.
Interesting.
You now sachet drinks. Some of them is 50 naira, 100 naira. Men will go and buy like 10, put it in the bottle and drink. Anyhow they do is drink. If you like, where you drink 40,000 naira drink, I drink of 1,000 naira, all is drink. Inside the belly, you know, she want gold or silver. It's now what men used to do now. Instead of them to go to beer parlor to drink like 3 bottles, they will mind their just stay in their house and take 1 bottle. And if they are going to any place, they will mind not buying beer for another man because.
So it used to be a thing. You know, guys buy for their friends when they go out.
No, sometimes guys now go do a call now huge. You know the way you go beer parlor now, instead of you to drink 1 bottle, now your friends won't come there. You spend like 5 or 6 bottles. You go do a call, but let's say don't high. You know that one.
I know.
But let's say don't go high. So sometimes some people eat ball now without fish. But I just put the oil and pepper. I'm okay. I don't like eating fish sometimes.
Really, you don't eat.
My brother, something was enter the ball. So alcohol will go up, we come down. Men must shy you. Bolokai day, monkey tail day. Anyone you take, you drink. They just mind that you take out. Let's not go take the one they poison us. That's it. We must go.
Well, but that's actually a concern. Most of these locally brewed alternatives, right? Like he just said, you have to be careful so you don't take something that's poisonous. You may not know, what it could do to your body. Not everybody has the same tolerance as the next person does, which is why alcoholic beverages, particularly those produced by the brewers or the distillers, are very popular. All right, so it's a bit of a mixed bag, particularly, like I said earlier on, for the distillers, those who make the alcoholic spirits, the ones that everybody likes to shout, 40-year-old whiskey, 50-year-old whiskey, 10 years old. Right? Those people, they have a niche market. They've always targeted, people who, in quote, feel that they are the, echelons, the upper echelons of society. So the pricing may not really affect those people, but beer and other low cost, brewing facilities, and products have a very big take. Now, let me also share with you, back in, was that 2016 or 2014, when we had the global economic meltdown, when there was that recession? How many of you remember that? And I got to see a report that one of the largest brewers in Africa, and particularly in Nigeria, actually posted net profits for the year and the year after. Actually posted net profits in Africa. In fact, I think the African market was one of the few markets that it actually posted profits. They didn't make profits in the West, in Europe, but in Africa they made a huge killing. But at close to 30% inflation rate, the brewers, a brewer now is not saying, hey, look, we have to increase the cost of our products. People can't understand why. But at the end of the day, is it going to affect the bottom line? That's the question. Good morning. morning, Jude. I like the fact that you made mention of the history of how alcohol was invented. It is with us and to always be with us. People must consume. People will find creative ways to make alcoholic beverages. Maybe this is the time for people to go back to our traditional, locally made brews. That way, we stimulate our economy from the local end without importing a lot of these things that people are consuming these days. People don't even know what exactly is in these bottles. They just buy because it has a fine label on them. I would like to encourage anybody to get into that business, and let's see if we can promote our own. All right, that's Isaac. Let's see if we can promote our own. Now, the previous caller made mention of some locally made alternatives, and there's a caveat. Remember, was that in 2014? Right? No, was it 2017 or 2018 when there were reports, particularly in the Niger Delta, of people who were coming down with illness? So some even died after they consumed locally made alcohol. Remember that? So that's a concern. That's a concern. So you're likely going to see a shift. I don't know, but some of you believe that people would switch to those alternatives. And if there is a switch, how can they ascertain that this is quality product? How do we make sure that this one that we're taking is good? Is good enough? How? Big problems. 017-923-0002 017-923-0003 017-923-0002 0817923-0003 at Nigeria Info PH. At Nigeria Info PH is where you'll find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeria Info PH. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. This one here says, hi G, good morning. I'm very sure that the number of people who will drink excessively will reduce. 1,000 naira is not for everybody, and we'll see more creative ways where people can celebrate. Now you probably know that just music is enough for you to be happy. You don't need alcohol, but then again, you cannot have a good party without some alcohol. Well, the jury is still out on that. Like I said, I've always partied with my, in quotes, Minera. I can't forget 6 years old, celebrating with you. We're all happy. We'll have fun, just jump. Maybe that's what people should do. Not saying you shouldn't consume, but, now that it's on the rather high side. Now, imagine what is going to be retailed for at the hotels. Are those 3-star hotels that a lot of people like to go spend the weekends at? Are those rather expensive bars? Those nightclubs or discotheques or lounges? They like to call themselves lounges these days. Imagine how much it's going to cost. Things are about to get really, really interesting. And I mean really interesting in the coming days and weeks. All right, let me get back to messages. 009-030-6416 08090306416. All right, Facebook and X at Nigeria Info PH at Nigeria Info PH. Olu says, Jude, you are forgetting that we have locally made palm wine. This is why we are having all of these problems. If the government has invested heavily in agriculture, most people will not be feeling the effect of whatever price increase these external bodies are impeding or imposing on us. People would have the alternatives. Funny enough, I was saying something like this recently. I was saying yesterday or the day before. That look, we have locally made palm wine. In Edo State, Okomu. Yes, I remember. Okomu. There's this plantation, Okumu plantation, where we make Okumu palm oil, right? And, here in River City, there's also Rhizome palm, right? Now, on one of my visits back to Benin years ago, last time I was in Benin was about 6 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, 5-6 years ago, they had started bottling palm wine. No joke. They started bottling palm wine. So you could go to, particularly they're usually found in the local bars. You never found them in the hotels. But we'd find them when we go out to eat isiewu, outside. and they say, we get palm wine. I say, bring. I was expecting them to bring in a jerry can, like we used to when we were in university. Sorry, not secondary school, in university, right? But they brought them in bottles. And I have to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. The palm wine from Benin was standard. It was. I was impressed. So, hey, maybe he has a point. Maybe if the government, let those places flourish, people have alternatives. It will be very good, right? Not because we want people to be drinking more alcohol, but it will be very good to get to events, weddings, funerals, whatever, and you get to see, palm wine, not just in jerry cans, frothing, but in clear bottles. Who knows? We could start exporting palm wine. We could. Who's to say we can't? Who's to say we shouldn't? If you are very comfortable buying, wines and stuff, for 4,000 naira now, in bottles and popping, who's to say that it cannot be exported, locally made palm wine, given a good label, cock it, and then somebody somewhere is like, this is wine from Nigeria. Palm wine, special brew from Nigeria. Once you taste it, your taste buds will never remain the same. Who's to say? I don't know. But great point though. Ibisa says, good morning, Jude. About the price increase of beverages. In those days, when we used to go to club, we stay outside and drink the way we like before getting into the club, right? And we just probably buy a bottle, right? Until we leave there. Now, they'll still apply the same thing. No gree for anybody. Oh. That's what's going to happen. Carl here says palm wine has been bottled for a long time now. Nifo in Benin used to bottle palm wine as far back as the 80s. The institute was one of those under my dad then. Oh, interesting. That's true. Nifo was also in that area. So yes, very synonymous with the previous message I read. Now look, what's stopping these institutions, these places, Nifo, Reason Palm, Okomu, for example, what's stopping them, from getting government grants? Look, produce more. Let's have our locally made, locally sourced. I think that's the word that we should emphasize. Locally sourced beverages. Right here. Hey, I know. Anyway. 1,000 naira on average right now. Some bottles 1,003, others 750, others 850, others 900 and 950. So if you go for a birthday party or a wedding celebration or whatever celebration, you must be very careful. If you drink and you don't, Nigerians have been used to wasting things. There's drink small, put it down. You probably don't see that any longer. Probably. I don't know. But, I could be wrong. What do I know? Okay, all right. Frank here says, Jude, this is not a very good sign for us. Yes, people can make all the jokes that they want about people still getting to drink when they want or how they want. But the truth is that if it's more expensive, less people will buy. Some will still buy. They may not buy as many as they used to. And then if that happens, guess what? It means those companies will not have the money to pay the staff that they have to run the company. If they don't have the money to pay that number of staff that they're used to, guess what? All those sponsorships that you're used to, all those donations that you're used to will dry up. This is not a good sign for Nigeria. It's very worrying. I don't drink alcohol, but I believe that this is going to affect the general economy. We should be very careful where we are heading, Frank says. He has a point there though, don't you think? I'm no economist, but if people are not buying as much of a product as they used to buy, that means revenue is going to reduce. If revenue reduces, There is a possibility that the company may not be able to pay the staff what they're used to be paid. I don't know. But I think it makes sense. But I don't know. Well, what say you? We have just about a minute or two. Just under a minute, in fact. How does the inflation impact alcohol consumption? That's been my question this morning. What say you? What exactly do you think is going to happen? Would you continue to buy? And if you are buying, are you buying as many as you used to? And if you're not buying as many bottles as you used to, is it really going to affect the company and those who work with them? Jude, I agree with the last guy. Unemployment will happen. Petrol age will go down. Some bars will close because of the hike in prices. Those in the village cannot sell their own again. It's kind of like what do you call it? A rolling effect. But let's see. Maybe this is just a stop in the like I said earlier on. It is a trough. It's the valley, in life, and this is happening all over the world. By the way, it's not just here in Nigeria. All over the world, all over. But I think it's hitting really bad here because this is not what a lot of people have been used to. 90.3 Nigeria Info will return after the break. We have a commercial coming up. And by 11, after the news, we get to talk about cars. Oh, yes. And I love cars.
Talk radio. 92.3 Talk radio.